Hey, what's up everyone? Oh, I didn't even sound check. Hey, what's up everyone? Danny here, and in this video we're going to check out this keyboard, the Velocifire VM90. Not too long ago I bought the Velocifire VM01 and I made a video on it. Before I uploaded that video, Velocifire actually sent me an email asking if I would be interested in reviewing one of their keyboards. And this was by pure coincidence because up to that point I had never been in contact with them. And I told them, I already own one of your keyboards and I'm in the process of making a review on it because I really enjoy it and I want to spread the word to my viewers. But if you want to send me a different product, I'd be happy to review it. And that's where they sent me the VM90. Now this is a little bit more expensive than the keyboards that I usually buy to review for the channel. Those are usually anywhere between $30 to $50. This comes in at $85. And sometimes it's a little bit cheaper, but I think on average it's $85 on Amazon. The reason I wanted to review this specifically was because I own some higher end mechanical keyboards. I have the Corsair K70 as well as the Razer Black Widow. Now mine are the non-RGB variants, but I've seen the RGB versions in real life and I've used them, and they're basically the same build quality except with RGB backlighting. Now those cost anywhere between $130 to $160 retail, which I think is crazy expensive. This, even though it's $85, I think it's supposed to be like a budget competitor to those. So even though it costs more than the entry-level mechanical keyboard, it's supposed to pack more features that make it worth it. So in this video, we're going to check out this keyboard and see if this is something you may be interested in. So this is the box that the VM90 comes in. The packaging definitely looks fancy and feels premium with its color print and glossiness, but honestly, I care way more about what's on the inside, so it doesn't get any brownie points here. If you do, however, like to display your boxes, then this would make a pretty nice display piece. Opening up the box, we have the keyboard presented under a clear plastic cover that's actually pretty useful to keep dust away when it's not in use. Included is a wrist rest, which is pretty nice since cheaper mechanical keyboards don't usually have these. There's a quick start card with some hotkey and reference information on it, but more importantly, there's the warranty information, which for this keyboard is 1 year. Here's some other popular mechanical keyboard manufacturers and their warranty periods, just so that you can see where Velocifire falls in line. There's an extra set of red keys that can be used to accent the keyboard if you wish. I never really use these keys because I don't really like the look of them. The stock set works for me, but I guess it doesn't hurt to have spares. These aren't textured in any way, so using them doesn't give you the benefit of being able to blindly position your hand on WASD. They also include a keycap puller, which is always a good thing to have because you don't want to damage your switches by pulling out the keycaps crookedly by hand. The main body of the keyboard measures 18.5 inches long by 6 inches wide, and with the wrist rest in there, it adds another 2 inches of width. Speaking of which, the wrist rest is magnetic, so putting it into place and taking it off is way more convenient than traditional wrist rests that have the clips, and the magnets are plenty strong to keep it in place, so there's no issues with it sliding off or moving around. The surface of the wrist rest is a rubber material that's kind of similar to Corsair keyboards, except without their perforated dimples. The cable is braided and is 6 feet long. It's pretty thick because it features USB pass-through. Unfortunately, the pass-through is not USB 3.0, but to be fair, the other competing keyboards aren't either. The body is mostly plastic with a textured metal plate where the switches and keycaps sit. There are 2 feet with rubber grips that fold out sideways on the bottom, alongside with multiple rubber pads that surround the perimeter, so these do a good job at keeping it from slipping when typing. The main feature of this keyboard is definitely the RGB LEDs. They are gorgeous, and I'm sure this is where the main contributing factor of its price comes into play. They're really bright and they transition very smoothly from color to color compared to cheaper RGB keyboards. The keyboard comes with a lot of different preset lighting effects already programmed in that you can access via hotkeys, so I'll show you a few of them here. Velocifire also has software that you can pair with this keyboard so that you can have access to more lighting effects, as well as set your own macros and define your own colors. Overall, I'd say the software feels a bit clunky though, and it could use some polishing. I personally prefer to use the hotkeys to control the lighting and don't really bother with the software. The keycaps are ABS plastic, and they're a bit of a letdown for me because they're not double shot, whereas the keycaps on the VM1 are, and it costs half as much. The ones on this keyboard are white keycaps that are painted in the negative space to leave a see-through lettering so that the LEDs can shine through. While they won't be as durable as double shot keys, I did try pretty hard to scratch the paint off and I couldn't even leave a mark. So the layer of paint is pretty thick and durable, but over time it'll likely show wearing. The VM90 uses Kailh switches, which are basically Cherry MX clones. At the time of me making this review, there are two models available, one with Kailh black switches and one with Kailh blues, which both require 60 grams of force to actuate. The Kailh blacks feel really similar to Cherry blacks. They're both linear and require 60 grams of force to actuate. The blue Kailhs, however, are pretty different than Cherries because even though they both have the audible click and the tactile bump, the blue Kailhs require 60 grams as well, whereas Cherry require 50. If you're someone who types a lot and haven't used a heavier switch before, then you're really going to feel the resistance on your fingers and you're going to feel them get tired. I wish they had more options like equivalents to Cherry Reds and Cherry Browns so that they cover the four most popular mechanical switch types, but 60 grams and blacks and blues is all we get. All keys felt pretty consistent, and when I was typing I didn't notice any keys being heavier or lighter than the other. So here's a sound test so that you can hear what the Kailh black switches on a VM90 sounds like compared to what Cherry MX blues sound like on a Razer Black Widow. And here they are back to back so that you can hear the distinct differences between the two. Okay, so now we're going to talk about if I think this is worth it or not. And overall, I've enjoyed using this keyboard. I've used it to type a lot as well as game, but I kind of wish there was a little bit more to it. And that's mainly because of the price point of $85. If you're looking at off-brand RGB mechanical keyboards, for a 10 key version, you're going to be looking at prices of around $50 to $60. And I'm talking about full mechanical switches with full RGB here. Not those mechanical feeling switches, not those multicolor rainbow rows. Those go for less, and that's not what we're comparing here. We're comparing full RGB and full mechanical. So when you look at the VM90 and you start with the base price of $50-ish, you can add in $10 for the wrist rest, which being magnetic probably has some more cost in production, and it's a little bit more expensive than the clip-on ones. So now we're at $60. You can add in another $10 for the higher quality RGB that transitions better and has more vibrant and a larger color spectrum. So now we're at $70. You can add in another $5 for the USB pass-through that other keyboards typically don't have. You're at $75. And then just another $10 for the overall more premium aesthetic feel and look to it. So that's how you get your $85. Here's a list of things that I think if they improved on, I would recommend this keyboard hands down every time if it stayed at the same price. I'd like to see double shot keycaps since their less expensive keyboard already has it, so there's no reason why this one doesn't. I'd also like to see more options for switches. This is totally a personal preference thing, but I think if they had more options, they could totally reach a wider customer base. A longer warranty period would also be nice because they're not as well known of a brand. So knowing that they'll help out when something goes wrong for a period like 2 to 3 years would be very good because other companies are already renowned for great customer service, so you want to be able to compete on that aspect. So I presented you with information, both objective and subjective, and now it's just up to you to decide whether or not this is something that you'd be interested in. And if it is, I'll have it linked down below with the Amazon link, and if you buy from that, it's my affiliate link, so it costs nothing extra to you, but it helps me out a little bit. I also have all the other keyboards that I've reviewed and recommend down there, just in case your budget is a little bit less than what this one costs. But other than that, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. So if you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, or if you want to check out the rest of my stuff before doing so. In terms of announcements, as you can see, I'm in my new place now. This is the new office and studio in our new rental. People have been asking about a room tour, and that probably won't be for another few weeks until I have everything unpacked and in place where I want it and set up the way I want it. I am happy that I did get the longboards up now. I think they look awesome between the windows. But yeah, so next week I'm also going to be doing another budget build as well as a guess your specs video, so that's going to be fun. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.